DL Tillery here, the Mistress of Horror, and welcome back to my channel. Before we get started, how about you press that subscribe button, give this video a like, and ring that bell so you know when I'm uploading new videos. Today's video is the first video in my series for this year of the dark romantic type. As I did say before in my what's going to be happening in 2021 for the channel, these videos will cover horror-based aspects of things. So movies, video games, and books, things like that. But like I said, for the dark romance, you probably won't get many video game mentions because they don't really have that very specific area in video games because, you know, they're missing a few elements. I'm going to give you a list of 8 horror romantic movies that I recommend for checking out. A few are in other languages. I love different languages, so I tend to watch films or shows in different languages as well. More specifically Japanese and Korean, because those are the ones, well, Japanese I know, and then Korean I'm learning, so of course those specifically, but yes, so I dibble and dabble, because yes, I love languages. Anyway, jumping right into this list, number 1 is going to be Phantom of the Opera from 2004. That is definitely one I would throw in the list always. Doesn't necessarily have to be that Phantom of the Opera because there are quite many versions of Phantom of the Opera. Not to mention there are books of Phantom of the Opera, musicals and such, because that's where it comes from. But I like the 2004 one, and also just the whole story of Phantom of the Opera is very dark in love, far as, you know, the Phantom. If you don't know the story of Phantom of the Opera, you probably do, but it's dark and it's romantic. So it definitely falls in my mindset of a dark romance because of the outcome and of the whole atmosphere of the story. So definitely on my list of recommendations, so check that one out. Number 2 is going to be The Fly. The Fly is horror based, is insect horror based, where the main character turns into a fly type creature, and this is the version, because there has been remakes. The 1986 one, I like that one. I love Jeff Goldblum. I used to have a crush on Jeff Goldblum. But yes, that one I would recommend because of the romantic aspects in the story, his love interest, and the fact that he is becoming a creature. He's a scientist, like he's a scientist type, so he becomes a creature of his own volition, really, his own mistake, and transforms. And it's still, there's a love interest there, and so yeah, definitely can be in somewhat in a tragic setting, but yeah, dark, or just horror romance in general can most of the time take a tragic turn. Number 3 is going to be Bram Stokers Dracula, 1992. I don't very specifically like this version of Dracula, even though it's Bram Stokes, but it's the movie. It's the actors that they chose. I went over this before in an old video. I love Gary Oldman. He did good in my opinion. He wasn't that bad, but the other people were questionable by a lot. Winona Ryder, and yeah. Anyway, so that's not what this is about. I recommend that one in instance of it being a dark or a horror romance because of Dracula, and this one specifically with Mina, who Winona plays, and his love for her. And a vampire's love for someone can be twisted in a way, especially being the type of creature that they are. So in a lot of stories, their love could be a more of a twisting, and sometimes twisted and also turn tragic. Not in all vampire-based stories with romance in them does that happen, but in a lot of cases that does. And this is one of the cases where the romance aspect is there because of his love for her. A creature such as he could only love a certain way, especially, not saying just because he's a vampire, but the type of vampire he is, and also his history. Him falling in love with her could be tainted, so to speak. So in this case, this is why I recommend this version for that specific subject. Number 4 is going to be Thirst, a 2009 film, which is actually a South Korean film. Like I said, I love Korean film as far as dramas and or movies, and as well as Japanese dramas and or movies. I watch a lot of, especially horror. Japanese horror is like, well, some of my favorite horror, and it definitely does the job. South Korean horror, very, very good too. Like, you can find some really good stuff. But Thirst is about a priest who gets turned into a vampire and is desiring his best friend's wife. So it gets really intense. So definitely recommend that one for a romantic horror. Um, it's kind of tragic in some cases for sure, and it's dark, obviously. Thinking about the premise of it, and definitely for Valentine's Day. This is why this is happening. I'm giving you guys lots of things to watch for Valentine's Day. Okay, enjoy. Number 5, The Shape of Water. The Shape of Water doesn't have a direct horror aspect per se, but it does in its grand scheme, in my opinion. The love between the two characters in this film is somewhat can be tragic in some cases because of their differences, as far as like him being the male, being a aquatic creature, and her being human. So it's very tragic in that setting, but you can see the love between the two, and I liked it a lot. So I definitely recommend it if you check it out. If you have not seen it, it's called The Shape of Water. I'll put obviously the picture here for you. But yes, definitely check that one out for your horror romance Valentine's Day. Definitely throw that in your mixture of movies to look at. This one's always in there because I really like this one, and it's zombies. This one is Warm Bodies. If you didn't know, I've talked about Warm Bodies and other movie recommendation lists that I've done. Warm Bodies, I really like it. I thought the romance extras were awesome. But it's zombies, so that they do zombies with the feelings or not feelings type of thing. So this one's a really good one. Also, it has kind of a comedy flair to it, undertone. So definitely a good one to check out and throw into your horror Valentines. Number 7 on the list is Let the Right One In, the Swedish version. I don't really like very specifically the American version that they remade. Well, there's like no point to remake because they remade it like right after it came out. So it's like, okay. But I like the Swedish version. Let the Right One is more younger cast, even though the cast isn't as young as they're playing. Let the Right One is about a vampire, a young female vampire who is like has the usual vampire setting, but it's a younger vampire, like a child type vampire. So think adolescent. Ages between 11 to 13 possibly, and then they have the young boy who's the love interest, so to speak. So it's very subtle because of the ages, obviously, but it has a dark romantic feel to Let the Right One In. It's a really good vampire film as well to check out, so definitely throw that one in your Valentine's Day horror flicks. And the last one on the list is called A Girl Who Walks Home at Night. This one was made in America, but it is in Persian. So it is based around, supposed to be the first Iranian vampire, and it has a definitely dark romantic aspect to it. It is definitely dark. It can be tragic in some instances, some parts of the story, and it follows you don't really know her name, so she's called like the girl or the woman, and the male love interest. They do like it's very it's very artsy in some cases. It's like prostitution in this, drugs in this, so there's a lot of different layers in this story, and it's vampire based. Obviously, maybe Walking at Night gave it away. She is a vampire, the female lead, so it's definitely a dark romantic type of setting. So a lot of twists and turns in this one. So definitely give that one a check. That one is in Persian, like I said, and then Let the Right One In is in Swedish. So definitely check those out if you are into like international films and things like that. I really do like that, so no big deal. Have English subtitles, have at it. All right, so that's my list for Valentine's Day. Please enjoy that. Check some of them out. If you've seen some of them, let me know in the comments what you thought of which ones, or which ones you may be interested in to check out. I do love my dark romantic horror for sure, and I'm always looking for more. So if you have some that you may think that I may not have seen, then throw them in the comments. Let me know, and I'll let you know if I've seen it or not, or what I think, or I might check it out if I haven't seen it. All right, so this is the first episode in the Dark Romance series that I'll be doing. It's 12 episodes. This is episode 1. All right, guys, enjoy your Valentine's Day, whether that's dark or not so dark. And as I always like to tell you, stay scared.